Have you ever been scrolling through your phone, looking at all your friends and followers, and still felt totally, completely alone? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. This strange mirage of connection and what it's really doing to our relationships. I mean, this quote it hits the nail on the head, right? We're all out here comparing our messy, complicated, real lives to everyone else's perfectly curated highlight reel. It's a game you literally can't win. And honestly, it's exhausting. And this says it all. On the one hand, you've got this online world buzzing with likes, comments, 1,000 so-called friends. But on the other hand, there's this quiet, offline feeling of being lonely or misunderstood. It's a feeling a lot of us can probably relate to. So, the big question is, how did we get here? How did these two worlds get so far apart? All right, so this whole disconnect actually has a name. It's called the connectivity paradox. And it's this weird modern day reality where the more connected we seem to be online, the more isolated and alone we can end up feeling in real life. Let's break that down. I mean, just think about that for a second. We have access to the entire world in our pockets, but we've never been lonelier. And this isn't just, a vibe. It's real. Researchers are literally calling loneliness a public health epidemic, and they're pointing the finger at the very platforms that were supposed to bring us all together. So what keeps us coming back for more? What keeps us so glued to our screens? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is good old FOMO, the fear of missing out. You know it. It's that little voice in your head, that nagging anxiety that somewhere someone is having a better time than you are. And man, that is a powerful, powerful hook. Okay, so we're hooked. But this constant urge to stay plugged in, it comes with a pretty steep price tag. Every single click, every scroll, every little notification, it has a hidden cost, especially for the people we care about the most. Which brings up a really important question for all of us, right? What happens to the people who are literally right there, in the same room, when our minds and our attention are always somewhere else? We've all been there. You're trying to talk to someone you love, your partner, and they're just scrolling. Their eyes are on their phone. Well, there's actually a word for that. Researchers call it partner phubbing or p-phubbing. It seems so minor in the moment, but believe me, the damage adds up. And this isn't some rare thing. We're talking about a staggering 51%. A Pew Research study found that over half of partnered adults say their partner is at least sometimes distracted by their phone when they're trying to have a conversation. Just let that sink in. And the consequences? Oh, they're real. We're not just guessing here. This comes from a huge analysis of over 50 different studies. And they all point to the same thing. More phubbing means less satisfaction, less intimacy, more fights, and more jealousy. It's like every time we choose the phone, we're taking a tiny little hammer to the foundation of our relationship. And, it's bigger than just being flat out ignored. The broader term is technoference. It's all those tiny interruptions. The quick glance down at a notification, the distracted while you're scrolling, that all send a really loud and clear message. Whatever is on this screen is more important than you right now. Now, here's where things get really interesting. When you look at the data, there's a pretty surprising gender gap. One study of university-aged adults found that 56% of women showed signs of smartphone addiction compared to just 33% of men. I mean, that is a huge difference. So what's going on there? Well, it turns out this isn't by accident. These platforms are often designed to prey on gendered insecurities. They reward this constant performance of perfection, which creates a cycle of comparison and self-doubt. And guess who profits from that cycle? The platforms themselves. Okay, I know this is all starting to sound a little doom and gloom, but here's the good news. This isn't a lost cause, not even close. We can absolutely take back control, and it all starts with designing some intentional digital boundaries. So let's get practical. What can you actually do about this? How do we protect our relationships and, let's be honest, our own sanity in a world that is literally engineered to distract us? Look, nobody's saying you have to throw your phone in a river. That's not realistic. The goal is to stop letting it use you and start using it with intention. And the very first step, according to therapists, is simple but not always easy. Have an honest, vulnerable conversation. And here's a super simple but really effective way to have that conversation. Number one, always start your sentences with I feel. Not you always, but I feel lonely when. Second, Find your common ground. What do you both want? Probably more connection. And third, just set one small achievable goal together. And what does that look like in real life? Well, it could be super simple stuff. Maybe it's just putting phones on silent when you sit down for dinner. Or maybe the bedroom becomes a screen-free zone. You could even schedule specific times to scroll so it doesn't just take over your entire day. So, setting these boundaries, it's a game changer for your relationships, for sure. But it also does something else, something deeper. It opens the door for you to rediscover who you are away from the screen. Because once you start to intentionally unplug, once you step away from the constant noise of likes and comments and validation, you're left with this really big, maybe even kind of scary question. Who am I when the audience is gone? And I absolutely love this reframe from Dr. K, who you might know as Healthy Gamer on Twitch. He talks about that feeling of loneliness you might get when you first disconnect. And he says, that's not a bug in the system, it's a feature. It's a necessary part of the process. That lonely chapter he talks about, that's your moment. It's your opportunity to finally tune out the thousands of other voices telling you who you should be and just listen to your own. It's where you find out who you really are, and then you can start building a life that actually feels like you, not a performance for someone else. So I guess it all comes down to this one last question we have to ask ourselves. We have this incredible window to the entire world right in our hands. Are we using it like a mirror to reflect and learn more about ourselves? Or are we just using it as an escape hatch from our real lives? At the end of the day, that choice is ours.